Over the last 2 years, you've heard me call this place so many things. A powder paradise, corduroy dreams, a steep skier's sanctuary, pure bliss, heaven on earth, home sweet home, Whistler Blackcomb, baby. You all know that I've been making Whistler guides and reviews since day one. I've covered every topic imaginable at Whistler Blackcomb, but most importantly, I have skied more powder and had more fun than any mere mortal or young adult ever should on Whistler Blackcomb. And let me tell you, it's complete bliss! If you feel like really getting into the deep end, really getting into the weeds, I'll leave all the best guides and website links in the description, or you can go to my channel, look up Whistler Blackcomb guides, or visit the Rise and Alpine website, and you can really learn so much about Whistler and the best ways to ski it.
Yeah, baby! This is so damn good.
Enough of that, let's get into the review. Whistler Blackcomb is made up of two mountains, Whistler and Blackcomb, and it weighs in at 8,171 skiable acres, which is absolutely mental, and that's the biggest skiable acreage in all of North America. The Blackcomb side is a vertical drop of 1,609 meters, and that's like 100 meters or so behind Revelstoke. So Whistler has the most acreage in North America and the second most vertical drop in North America.
A powder day? A powder day?
Thanks to Whistler's proximity to the coast, it gets absolutely nuked on a yearly basis, clocking in 1,338 centimeters of snow on average. Whistler snow is coastal and it's heavier than places like Utah or Colorado where the snow is much drier. What I really find hilarious but also love about Whistler's weather and the variation in elevation is that sometimes you'll come into the valley and it'll be raining, and you'll get to the mid-mountain, it'll be a different weather system, it'll be sunny, you get to the Alpine and it's nuking, dry, and light powder. So there's like 3 different weather systems going on in Whistler at any given time, and the benefit to that is it means you're gonna find good snow somewhere on the mountain every day that you go skiing. I absolutely love beginners, and teaching skiing to those who are new and passing on my love for it is a huge passion of mine, but I'm not gonna lie, Whistler isn't really the best place for a beginner skier, and it's not because they don't have that many green runs, it's because you're paying $300 for a day ticket and you're not able to explore the whole mountain. But there's a few sweet options for beginners, so I don't want to scare you off right off the bat. You can still have a wicked time up there, and I'll tell you how. So if you're a complete beginner, absolutely new to skiing, learning how to put your skis on and link your turns, they actually offer a discounted pass. I know, surprise, surprise, Vail offering a discount. This discounted pass allows you to ski the Magic Chair on the Blackcomb side and the Olympic Chair on the Whistler side, which allows you to practice and get better at your skiing without paying top dollar. If you're comfortable skiing on greens and linking turns and you want to head up Whistler, I'd recommend going up the Whistler side and not the Blackcomb side. Blackcomb leans a little more advanced and all the green runs tend to be cat tracks, so it's kind of annoying. On the Whistler side, the best spots to play are the Eagle Bowl on the Emerald Chair. It's nice, open, great views. Pony Trail on the Red Chair. And once you're feeling confident and up for it, head to the Peak Chair or go all the way up and ski the Burnt Stew Trail, which is the most scenic green run I have ever seen. It goes all the way down to the Symphony Chair, and you'll be able to get back up and take a cat track back to the bottom of Harmony. But it's pretty mellow and it's pretty darn worth it if you're kind of that beginner intermediate skier and you want to get a super cool kind of bigger mountain experience, and especially if you want to see all the views on Whistler Mountain. 1,500 centimeters of snow is a lot, but you can't expect every day to be a blower powder paradise on Whistler Blackcomb. Although I am addicted to powder skiing, I also have a second love, and that's carving, going fast, bombing down groomers, and laying down my edges. I've loved carving since I was a kid. It feels just so artistic and aggressive all at the same time. I absolutely love it. I remember carving in Manning Park, and then I'd go up the Orange Chair and I'd look down at my tracks that I kind of painted into the corduroy. It's one of the best feelings in the world. One of the biggest tips I can give you for carving right off the bat is to get up the mountain early, even on a hard packed day. I know you want to sleep in, I know there's not fresh snow, but when there's less people on the mountain, you can really send it and lay it down, take those big GS turns and not have to worry about kids skiing around and other people skiing around, and you have that space to really send it down the mountain. If it's a hard pack carving morning, there's a few places you're always going to find me. On the Whistler side, I'll be on the Garbanzo Express skiing Dave Murray to Tokum or Ptarmigan. These are home to the Whistler ski races, and these runs absolutely rock for people who want to go fast and etch massive GS turns into the snow. Over on the Blackcomb side, you have to carve Seventh Heaven. The mix of views and open alpine grooming is like nothing else in the world. It's called Seventh Heaven for a reason, and make sure you ski Hughes Heaven. The fall line's sustained, and it's just pure raw carving bliss. If you're feeling something a little more cruisy, head over to the Crystal Chair and try Rock and Roll or Ridge Runner, two of my favorites. I also love just carving under the gondola on the Blackcomb side on a run called Springboard. Oh, it's the best, man. There's one carving run that reigns king on Whistler Blackcomb, and that is the Peak to Creek. That starts from the top of the peak chair and goes all the way to Creekside very occasionally. And I mean very occasionally. I don't know if I've seen it in the last couple of years, but they'll groom the whole Peak to Creek top to bottom. And if you ever see that, man, turn on the race bells and get out there, because it's an experience like no other. There's absolutely no shortage of blacks and double blacks on Whistler Blackcomb, and that's where I spend 99.9% of my ski hours. Pretty much everywhere and anywhere you go will lead you to something challenging and fun, and every single lift has a sweet mix of black runs and runs that'll help you improve and transition to bigger and more aggressive lines. So I find the Whistler side a tad mellower, and its huge alpine bowls, which are nice and open, have less hazards. So it's like a great spot to be as an advanced skier working your way to kind of that expert double black skiing range. If you're on the Blackcomb side, one of my favorite spots to send intermediate and advanced people is the Blackcomb Glacier. You're gonna get that backcountry, remote, and epic big mountain feel, and have the pitch of like a blue, black, depending on how the snow is, all the way down, and ride a cat track back to the Crystal Chair. It's something you definitely have to experience if you're an advanced skier at Whistler Blackcomb, and if the ice cave is open, you're gonna have to check that out as well. Whistler Blackcomb has some of the most insane, butt-clenching, steep and extreme terrain of any mountain I've ever visited, minus Kicking Horse. I think they're pretty close, pound for pound, but Kicking Horse might actually win because it's smaller and has like 100 chutes. Anyways, that's besides the point. At Whistler Blackcomb, there's so many marked and unmarked steeps, cliffs, and chutes. Most mountains wouldn't even allow some of this kind of skiing inbound, so I'm always thankful for that. The Peak Chair is the mecca of Whistler, and up-and-coming free skiers are always throwing down the chair. There's legendary lines like the Coffin and Air Jordan on a huge double cliff drop that you can see from the lift line. On Blackcomb, you've got some extremely steep and technical terrains. There's so much stuff to ski, for guys who are pros to like average Joes like me. You know, there's something for everyone, and you can constantly be challenging yourself. It's never-ending excitement on the extreme terrain at Whistler Blackcomb. Whistler's known for its wide open alpine bowls, but it's hiding a dirty little secret. The tree skiing is absolutely epic. Honestly, it's too bad that tree skiing doesn't fall into some kind of professional competitive category like race or slopestyle or freestyle, because it would be my absolute jam. I love tearing through the trees, especially at Whistler, and thanks to the Whistler Blackcomb trees, I've never had a bad day on the ski hill. When visibility's poor, which is a lot, I go into the trees, and it's the best place to play. On the Whistler side, the best trees are off the Peak Chair towards the Red Chair, off the back of Harmony and like Harvey's and Robinson's, and the Emerald trees and the Garbanzo trees, when the freezing level is low, are super fun. Blackcomb is where I prefer to do all my tree skiing, thanks to areas like Everglades and Seventh Heaven, Where's Joe, Watch Out, some like selectively logged places near Cat Skinner, and pretty much all the trees in the Crystal Chair are absolutely epic. The whole mid portion of the mountain is pretty much tree skiable. I'm constantly finding new slots, new stashes every time I go, and I'm sure you guys are skiing things that I've never seen before as well. So time in the trees is time well spent at Whistler Blackcomb. If you ever watched any of my videos, you know I have a slight boot packing addiction. I love to get my heart rate going by putting my skis on my shoulder and climbing in my boots. Whistler played a large part in this boot packing addiction, and the best snow is always the hardest to access. Not everyone wants to take their skis off and get their heart pumping, and sometimes that Spanky's line is pretty damn intimidating. Whistler's most well-known inbounds hike is the Flute Bowl, and it holds wonderful snow even days after storms. You've also got smaller boot packs like West Cirque, VD Chutes, Glacier Wall, Spanky's Ladder, Blackcomb Glacier, and the Gray Zone. The hiking equals powder calculation kind of applies at Whistler, but there's so many people and so much traffic that stuff usually gets skied out fairly quick. quickly. The Alpine is truly Whistler Blackcomb's unfair advantage, and I think it's what gives it its legendary status. You can spend your entire day skiing in the Alpine in and around 2,000 meters, and you're gonna feel like you're just in a big mountain paradise within the bounds of a resort. It's something you can't get anywhere else except maybe in the Alps. I've got no idea, but I think that is what makes Whistler so gosh dang amazing. There's loads of bowls, and I'll just rattle some names off for fun. You've got the Jersey Cream Bowl, the Lakeside Bowl, the Opal Bowl, the Gemstone Bowls, Secret Bowl, Blackcomb Glacier, Whistler Bowl, the Glacier Bowl, Sun Bowl, Flute Bowl, West Bowl, Harmony Bowl, Cereal Bowl. Kidding, I don't think there's a cereal bowl, but there's a lot of bowls, and I probably missed a few, but you get the picture. The Alpine Bowl skiing is the absolute best, and it's not going to be beat by any resort out there, and it's the reason that you should visit Whistler, is to ski these Alpine Bowls. The backcountry access at Whistler is honestly unparalleled. To get that deep into the Alpine and the sea to sky usually requires a few hours of painful booting or skinning through thick and dense forest. On the Whistler side, you've got great access to the Fitzsimmons Range, highlighted by day trips to Obo, Singing Pass, Keys and Clare, and Thistle. And the Blackcomb side is burly and entirely made up of complex terrain. So the Showcase T-Bar takes you right up to the Blackcomb Glacier, and it's a quick skin into the Spearhead Range. This is the starting point for the legendary Spearhead Traverse, and there are countless amazing tour opportunities. The terrain park at Whistler is always world class. It's massive. I don't ski much park anymore, so I can't really give my personal opinion on it. It's been about 6 or 7 years since I've even actually stepped foot in a terrain park, but what I do know is the Black Park is the big park. That's where all the riders who are insanely talented are riding gigantic features all the time, and I have a lot of fun pulling up and watching them, especially when they hit that massive jump. I think it's called Shack. And on the Whistler side, you've got a smaller park for people trying to make those initial progressions, so it's an awesome spot for the park. The scenery at Whistler speaks for itself. I think it's some of the most incredible mountain scenery in the entire world. The Garibaldi Range from the peak chair is amazing. The views from Seventh Heaven are my personal favorite. It's unbelievable. There's glaciers everywhere. There's snow-capped peaks. It's 100% worth it if you're not a skier and you get a blue sky day to just go for a sightseeing trip at some point in the summer, because it is amazing. According to the Whistler Blackcomb website, there's 17 different restaurants on the resort. I'm not sure if I could name all of them. For something fancier, I've never been there, I can't really afford it, but I've heard Christine's on Blackcomb is pretty sweet. The Umbrella Bar is a great spot to grab a pint, get groovy on the mountain. The lodges, food's overpriced, but it's fairly tasty from what I've heard. The place you'll usually find me hanging out is the Crystal Hut, grabbing some waffles and a pint. 99.99% of the time I pack a PBJ sandwich and a granola bar in my pocket, save some money, and the only time you'll find me in a lodge is usually when I'm rehydrating with a pint, because I'll always pay a premium for beer. I'm a super positive guy, and I absolutely love Whistler Blackcomb and feel so lucky to be able to call it my home hill and ski there all the time. It's honestly hard for me to say anything bad about it because I just have so much fun there, and it seems like such a first world gripe to be talking about the things I don't like about Whistler, but I'm going to run you through some of the downsides, because I think if you're going to spend all this money and plan a trip to Whistler, it's just good to set your expectations and kind of know what's coming at you in terms of the adversities that you have to deal with. And Whistler is all about dealing with adversities to be given the powder pot of gold at the end. Trust me. The gondola and chairlift lines at Whistler are absolutely miserable on holidays and weekends. There's just no way around them, and I'd argue sometimes they're the worst in the world. I've had days where I've waited an hour to get on a gondola, then another hour or more to get to the top of the mountain, but it's just the way of the world at Whistler. There's really no way around the lift lines. There's no secret to dodging them. Patience and persistence are the keys. If you're patient and you persistently be patient, you're going to end up skiing powder at Whistler. That's just the bottom line. The simplest resolution to dodge these epic lift lines is to show up on a weekday and a non-holiday day. Usually the lines won't be there, but if the powder falls, everyone in Vancouver, Squamish, and Whistler will be calling in sick and lining up for the chairs and the gondolas, and it's been this way since the 90s from what I've heard. So lift lines are just part of this game we play as powder thirsty skiers. Whistler Blackcomb is absolutely undeniably unaffordable. Lift tickets at the window are like $300 Canadian now. Food is priced crazy and accommodations are honestly even worse. There's a few ways you can combat these crazy costs, and one of them is by getting an edge card. So you should never purchase a ticket at the window at Whistler. That's just crazy. It's like burning money. Always buy a preseason ticket if you know you're gonna go. You get a 2-day edge card, a 5-day, or a 10-day, and the more days you get, the cheaper it gets per day and comes out actually to a fairly reasonable cost. When it comes to planning accommodations, you're always best off going in low season, so going early in the winter, November, early December, skipping holidays, and then maybe going back to Whistler later in the season, like in April and May. Anytime you're going in the peak season, you're going to be shelling off gobs and gobs of cash. Whistler and the Sea to Sky have a very, very big traffic congestion problem, and it's not uncommon for a 2-hour drive to turn into a 5-hour drive. Some people strategize and leave the mountain at 1 or 2, but if I've worked all week and I've been thinking about skiing all week, you better believe I'm going to ski until the final chairlift stops moving, especially if the snow is good. So the reality is, you just have to sit and you have to wait in traffic if you're getting back to the city. Parking can be another piss off at Whistler, so if it's a busy day and you go a little too late, all the free lots will tend to be full and you'll have to go to the main village lots which charge you for parking. And I always thought it was kind of evil to gouge you and make you pay for parking when you're already paying for a lift ticket at a mountain. All negatives considered, and of course I'm fairly biased, but I think Whistler Blackcomb is still my favorite mountain that I've ever skied. There's just so much differentiation in terrain, and regardless of what the weather's like, I can always manage to find good snow, find powder somewhere, or find amazing groomers that I can absolutely shred. I've never had a bad day on Whistler Blackcomb in my life, and I constantly, every time I go, I'm finding new stuff, skiing new lines, jumping off new things, and meeting new friends. So I don't think the thrill of Whistler honestly is ever going to get old to me. I don't think any of you would show up to Whistler and not enjoy it. One of my biggest goals in life is to ski every mountain I possibly can in North America, in Europe, in Japan, wherever across the world. But what I do know is that I'll always come crawling back to Whistler Blackcomb. I absolutely love it. And if you visit, I'm pretty damn sure you're going to have the time of your life as well.
I-35 with the top down, quick to tell a hater they should get like me. Seem like everybody wanna be the boss, but it costs.